What the f? That big factory you see out there and all these fields, Domino Sugar. You may be familiar with the brand. Sugar, the death of us all, including myself. Here in the beautiful heartland, the very underappreciated heartland of Florida. Appreciated by me, but pretty much ignored by everybody else.
It's March 25, 2022, and if you can believe it,
There is beautiful Lake Okeechobee, and that's my favorite little spot to stop at whenever I do this road trip, Port Mayaca. And I do plan to stop there on the way back. I did with my trip last week. I want to catch the sunset in a couple hours. Absolutely beautiful, so underrated, the Okeechobee area. This is real Florida. Just how beautiful it is along Lake Okeechobee. And even the town of Okeechobee, which is where we're going. And look at beautiful views in every direction. Just look at all the cows out to pasture. This, my friends, I cannot say enough, is real Florida. Okay? What they've done to the coastal that were once towns, they're now cities, is disgraceful. This is what it's all about. So as you can see right here, 18 miles to the town or city, if you want to call it, city of Okeechobee. I'll tune back in at Copart, see what we got. Well, that happened fast. Man, last time I waited for like an hour, and this time I didn't even have my car in park. They were already ready to load it up. So I like that. That means I'm gonna make the sunset over at Lake Okeechobee. So remember, this is sight unseen. I'm already seeing some good things. Let's take a look. So I thought I saw this in the pictures. Goodyear tires up front. They look brand spanking new. Daco 21. I shouldn't celebrate yet because I didn't come here just to buy a set of tires. Hopefully it's a set. I do see Goodyear Defiant in the back. Here's our water line. Water should have gotten in. If here's the bottom of the door, it should have seeped through. We'll see how rusty the seat tracks are and stuff like that. But take a look. Those same Goodyears. Oh, they do this for all the cars who, I guess, let them air out without letting water in from the rain. So pretty smart. Those same Goodyears in the back. You gotta love it. So this is a 3-owner, but the 3rd owner's had it for a long time. And it was someone's grandma, and I'll show you how I know that. Rendezvous, 07, 3,500 power. That's why I was interested. Not that there's anything wrong with 3,400, but 3,500. Even more powerful and less likely to have intake gasket problems. This is why I knew it was someone's grandma's car. Pretty cool. This thing, cosmetically on the outside, is mint. Way nicer than I expected it to be. Another one of these beautiful Goodyears. Oh, I love that. So yeah, the body looks great. Oh my God, if nothing else, I mean, this thing is a great parts donor. Look at the paint. This had to be garaged. if these are the original headlights, I'm gonna be shocked. They might be replacements. KHC, I think these are replacements. But hey, you know what? That shows that somebody cared. All right, let's first let's look underneath. I want to see how corroded it is from its salt exposure. So yeah, there is a little kiss of corrosion. Matter of fact, look at that brake line right there. That could burst, but they look pretty accessible, at least the brake lines, which is good. They're pretty easy to change if I have to. A little bit of corrosion on the gas tank strap. The problem is now, I mean, all these cars got flooded over a month ago, and well, you know, the bodies have been washed by rain, not the undercarriages, so gonna get the surface rust on stuff. But really, it's just like having driven it through winter for a season in New England, you know? It's not gonna kill it one time. So not horrible. I don't know what that is though. Okay, just some tape off the wire loom. Yeah, I mean, you can see everything got a little kiss of corrosion from the flood. It's always the exhaust that looks the worst. If it was a Sanibel car, for example, you know, always going to the beach and stuff, could already had some of this corrosion before. I paid in total for this $588. I already got my money back with the tires. So let's see. Here we go. This is the scary part. Oh. Yeah, it doesn't smell great, if I'm honest. You can see some mold there on the seat. Now, the water line, again, the guys here at Copart, God knows how many of these are doing every single day. So they make their best assessment. Well, it's a good thing I caught that. There we go. Ooh, doesn't smell too good by that seat. They do their best assessment that they can of where the water came up to. So let's see, they had it here. I mean, I definitely see evidence here, but what's that? No, that's just from the weather stripping. This thing had no power when they tried to, oh yeah, we got some mold. We got some mold. Now, I'm gonna pull the interior out of this. I was gonna pull it out anyway, regardless, to be safe. So all that will get cleaned. It's really, I mean, mold in cars, obviously not ideal, but hey, it even happens to some of my cars that just sit around. This fell from the moisture inside. It doesn't feel too damp in here, so obviously leaving the door open helped air it out. I didn't bring a booster pack or anything to try to put power to it. I own it at this point. I gotta take it home. So, but yeah, a little moldy in here. Some Tylenol. I mean, who knows, the key, I don't know why they left it in the on position, but we've got the remote, got the key. This has, there you go. I knew it was somewhere around 100,000 miles based on the Carfax. So nice, low miles for an 07 Rendezvous. That's pretty cool, right about what I expected that to be. So the seats on these, this is tricky. I don't know, actually let's check here. This is where we're gonna find if there was water or not. Well, the good news is that looks really clean. That's very good news. And this is just like general center console filth. I don't think it's water related. And there is some corrosion on that penny, but again, that could just be from all the moisture that was in here before. A few more places I'm gonna check, obviously. I think they may be correct. I'm hoping on their assessment of where the water came up to. It looks very clean up here. I don't think we got that high. I saw this in the OBD. Okay, they had one of these things to reduce their insurance. Now, the nice thing about something like this Rendezvous is there's plenty of these in the junkyard. So I might not even mess with this interior, honestly, trying to get these seats clean. And this, if you know GM bailout era cloth, it stains if you look at it too long. So this, you know, is fairly common to see. And you can see the driver's seat is the worst stain of all of them. It just happens from even like sweating in these cars. Kind of sucks. So I may just yank these out, toss them. Again, that's if the car is any good, the engine. See if I can get a leather interior at the junkyard. Even if it costs me $200-300, I think it's worth it. Definitely well kept overall. The dashboard is in great shape. Beach parking, Collier County. Yeah, so I mean, who knows how much of the corrosion was flood related or beach use related. All right, what we got going back here? So there is some corrosion on this stuff, but honestly not as bad as I would expect it to be. I mean, look over here. Yep, some surface corrosion, but overall, these don't look bad at all. And look at the rear seat. I mean, it's got mold from the moisture exposure, but this looks really clean. That's what I was trying to say. If there was water in the front seat, there was water in the back seat, unless this thing was parked like this. And these don't look stained from water. They've just got mold on them. So I really think those are like stains from the beach on that seat. They went to the beach, sat with their, even with a towel, if the towel's damp, it's gonna stain the seat. Because look at these rear seats. They got mold, but no staining whatsoever. So that gives me some, what the heck? Holy crap. I know these Nikon lenses could be expensive. Did this just pay for the car? That'd be nice, huh? If this thing's worth $300-400. All right, here is the rear trunk. I can't get that. It's an electronic. I'm trying not to be in here too long because there is a little bit of mold. Look at, you can already start cleaning it. I like, this is a grandma thing to do, to put extra carpet to protect the carpet. A little bit of corrosion there on that little hinge. Let's see if we can get anything else open. I'm not gonna stay here too long. Like I said, I really want to get that sunset view. I mean, there's not pools of water coming out of these little access hatches. That's good. Definitely wasn't water in here. You'd see a film left behind. I mean, is this all nasty in here? Not really. All right, first look under the bonnet, as people will call it. Let's see how bad things look. Oh yeah, so I see corrosion. Is that the starter? It's got to be the starter. Yeah, so that could definitely explain why this thing didn't start when they tried to start it. Although I think when the flood line's at a certain point, they don't try to start it. And this is probably about at that threshold. But it didn't even show any power when they, you know, tried to show the odometer. Now, that looks good, but that doesn't mean there isn't water in the oil, because oil and water separate. So it would be at the bottom of the pan. But if you have a lot of water in your engine, you're going to see it right away on the dipstick. So good sign. This is how I know they must have tried to jump it. But you can see between this and trying to find a place to get a good ground for the jumper pack, you could see that it's certainly possible. They just couldn't get power to this thing, and the battery was dead. That's what I'm hoping. That's part of the gamble, right? When it's a low acquisition cost like this, I'm willing to take the gamble. Transmission fluid looks great. Again, all the fluid should be gone through. Abundance of caution. But it's always nice when you don't see anything you don't want to see in the fluid. And then we've got the radiator, just based on what I'm seeing in the overflow tank. Looks like a really well-maintained car. The fluids all look spotless. Everything looks pretty clean in here overall. I mean, you can see there's some crap right here on top of the electric fans. That's a little bit concerning. If the water did get that high, I'd say we're probably, that fan spins freely, as does that one. Oh, there's just a leaf. Hopefully it didn't get brought in there by flooding. You can see all this crap on top of the exhaust shield here. Again, I don't really think that would get there without water. So, hey, that's part of the only other thing I can maybe check, see if I have enough room, is the air filter. See if that looks like it got wet. I hate to say it, that definitely feels wet. All right, my friends, This is soaked. So water, you expect this. This happens all the time with these flood cars. They're just making a guesstimate. They thought the water line was here. Well, if the water got up into the air filter, I'm trying to see the lowest point of where it takes in the air. It explains all the sand that we're seeing. Somewhere around here, so the water was more like here. Pretty good chance this thing's gonna be locked up if it got water in the cylinders. And if it came that high, I'm sure it went through the intake, through the throttle body, through the intake, down into the cylinders, and well, now she's been sitting for a month and a half. Pretty deceiving though, when you look at that oil. So, all right, we got our work cut out for us on this one. Oh, I see the water line. I see it clear as day. Look at that. You see how perfectly straight that line of crap is? That's the water line. And obviously that's the air box the water line's on. So it would make sense that this got wet, but it's soaked. I would think that maybe, I guess with paper, it gets a little bit wet here and the whole thing's gonna just get soaked. All right, well, we found our water line. Makes sense why there's all this crap all over the exhaust manifold. So it actually is here. Yeah. So they were about a foot off. So now knowing that information, it would make sense. It's amazing how clean the seats look in the back though. You gotta keep in mind that, and I'm not guaranteeing this, but you know, if your doors have a good seal, depending on how long the water was that high, it's possible that, you know, the water in the interior maybe only got up to here. That feels dry. I mean, some of this corrosion you're seeing, it's hard to say, because again, just having that humidity in here can cause all this untreated metal to corrode. Well, now I'm gonna hope that camera lens is worth at least 300 bucks. Between that and the tires, I've more than got my money back, and obviously I can still scrap the car. I still want to try to get it running, and then, you know, we make a decision from there. I don't think the water inside got as high as it did on the outside, because this center console is spotless, and obviously nobody's cleaned this thing. Any expensive sunglasses or anything left in here too? A pair of Ray-Bans? And the problem is with this sublot, it's sight unseen. You cannot come up here and preview cars, so you're going off what they're giving you, and that's what they gave me. Oh yeah, look, it doesn't just get there. I think this is gonna be locked up. That's my best guess. That's my best guess, but who knows? Maybe we got lucky. That oil does look pretty clean. Let me get this thing strapped down. Look at that sun setting. I still have to stop for gas. We got to make that sunset. It's half the reason I came up here. Just look at how friggin' beautiful this is. We're not even looking at the damn lake yet. Oh man, I cannot wait to show you guys. Wow, man. And look at how underrated. There's two friggin' people here. You know, the sunset in friggin' Miami every day, there's a gazillion people, and not the kind of people you want to be around. All right, folks, I got my pictures. Now it's time for you to enjoy, get out of here, this beautiful, beautiful sunset. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And too beautiful, well, this is pearl, and that's just white. It's like Arctic white. Beautiful, beautiful SUVs. I'm sure the Buick has a little bit of PTSD right now, seeing all that water. This is why I do this stuff, guys. You know, it's about the journey. It's all about doing this trip up here to the Heartland. I love doing it. Again, I don't have to buy a car to do it, but it definitely makes it a little more interesting. All right, it's the next morning. First thing I'm gonna do, I've got to return the U-Haul trailer. So I need to get this off the dolly, but while it's on the dolly, it's easier to drain the oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now and we'll see what comes out. All right, so check this out. This thing's had the transmission replaced with a GM Reman unit. That's big money right there. So just goes to show you the level of maintenance that this thing received. And I also notice, if you take a look, there's a chapstick. Actually, hold on, before I pull the plug completely, you can see, looks like so far, what's coming out is just oil. I'd be very surprised though if it stays that way. Here we go. Gotta make sure this pan doesn't fall. I gotta say, folks, so far it looks mostly like oil to me. And it could have a watery consistency. I'll be able to check better when I dump this pan. But so far, pretty good. All right, I got the oil filter loosened up. Oh, what the hell? All right, well, actually the pan caught that. What a stupid thing that it went all the way over there. Well, so far it's come out of that filter. I'm sure you saw. Looks like oil to me, guys, which is good. If there is some water, it's so little that you don't even see a color difference. So that's great. Definitely a better chance that the engine's not locked up from what I'm seeing so far. Not a guarantee though. Here we go. Friends, this is clearly just motor oil. I don't think there's a drop of water in that oil. So that's a good sign. If the bottom end, which is the low-hanging part of the engine, doesn't have water in it, I'm pretty confident that the cylinders don't either. Okay, so a little more good news. I just finished up the oil change, topped her off. Used my multimeter here to check the battery voltage. It's 0. So what I was hoping is the reason it didn't have any power when they went to check the odometer on this thing, a Copart, was that the battery was dead, and even with their jump box, they just didn't get a good enough connection or something. Okay, it's a bit later. I've done a couple of things. I've encountered a problem. So let me tell you what's going on and what my plan is. Started pulling the spark plugs. I don't see any sort of corrosion from water or any evidence that these plugs were ever in water. That spark plug right there, someone cross-threaded it, whoever did the plugs on this thing last. Not the end of the world. They sell kits at the store, at the auto parts store. You can rethread this hole for the spark plug, but I'd rather not get into all of that. The good news is I was able to get this spark plug tight again. It's not corrosion, right? Because look at the threads. You can't tell me that spark plug has corroded threads and it's seized, and that the two next to it, the threads are beautiful. There's no way. Now you saw I drained the oil was fine. Nothing got in there. You can tell. You would see sand, you would see some sort of watermark. Perfectly dry, as I kind of expected when I saw that water line right there. Just look at the design of this. It's beautiful. You got the air box down here, then the tubing goes up to the throttle body, and then that goes up before going into the intake. So the water would have had to have been this high to get into the intake and down into the engine. What I'm hoping to do is to find the battery charger for this camera, so that I can stick it down into the cylinders I can get into. If the cylinders I can get into look good, the oil looked good, I can see it, no water got that high. At that point, things look pretty safe to start. Okay, so based on what I've seen so far on the camera, the inspection camera, some carbon buildup on the top of the pistons. You can kind of see the cylinder wall enough to see that they look smooth. I don't think there's any rust buildup on there. But there's one more thing I'm going to do. I'm going to get my breaker bar. I'm going to ever so slightly try to rotate the engine, and I should know right there, you know, if this thing fights me, then we've got a problem. All right. All this crap in my way. I mean, it turns with absolute ease. It seems like it's free. And what I'm gonna do now is throw a battery in it and let's see if she'll start up on her own. I've got the key right here. If the alarm comes on, you'll probably see me jump because I'm expecting to be spooked by the horn. So that means I'm gonna jump if it does it. Okay, she's hooked up. Did not set off the alarm, which is nice. So let's see if the keyless entry works. It does. Cool. I'm nervous, man. We got lights on that dangling mirror. All right, let's see what it does. 103,000 miles. Looks like there's a little bit of an issue there with the display, but I think that's common on these. Radio works. All right, well, let's not waste any more time. Woo. So it spun fine, but that didn't sound too great. I didn't let it continue cranking. You know, the one thing I meant to do, and I forgot to do it with all this excitement, was to take out the fuel pump, fuse, and relay. And that way I could crank this thing over a little bit, build up some oil pressure, which I believe are, I mean, it kind of already started, but let's take those out. Horn, fuel pump. I don't know, does that crank sound uneven to you guys? I haven't had one of these 3500s in a while. Doesn't sound horrible. I don't know, I could be wrong. God, I'm hoping that clears up, that knock. I mean, ugh. Let's let it build up some oil pressure. Does sound like it cleared up. Let's see what's coming out the tailpipe. I mean, I have to imagine there's some moisture that's been trapped in that exhaust. And when I rev it, it's gonna probably spit it out. I don't wanna say anything. I don't wanna say anything. We'll leave it at that. This is dangerously close to the drive belt there. I don't know why that was like that. No warning lights. Side's door ajar. Now that I can, let me get these windows down. All right. I think we're okay. But let's see if I rev it a little bit. If we, oh, this is drive-by-wire. So I'll have to do it from the inside. Seems like it's running really well, actually. Oh, that sounds perfect. Yeah, all right. I think that was just some really ugly piston slap. This might seem like a bit of an overreaction. I'm going to speak as clearly as I can. But I'm still really, you know, I'm not contagious, but I'm still getting over COVID. Okay, my lungs are not in the best of shape with this COVID. I've been coughing up for weeks, so I really don't want to risk making it any worse. All right, here we go. This should go into gear. Right into reverse. And there she goes. It moves. Awesome. Let me get this thing turned around. And, oh, you know what? I need my gate opener. Well, let's see if drive works. It does. Whoa! I talked to my good friend George, who's going to watch this video. Again, GM Tech. Former GM Tech. And he told me, and he's right, because I thought about it. When I bought my AT&T Malibu years ago, when I started at Copart, it did that same knock for like several seconds and it went away because it had been sitting for a long time. He told me that all these engines, when they've sat for a while and you start them up, especially, you know, I changed the oil too. I did pre-fill the filter, but he said that's very normal. He said, don't worry about it as long as it went away, which it definitely did. Okay, well, geez, that thing's gonna be a pain in my ass. Here we go. First to second. Second to third. Give me overdrive. Give me overdrive. There it goes, overdrive. Smooth as butter. Oh, this thing drives beautiful. This thing drives like a Cadillac. Now we're talking. The brakes work great. Gotta get the rust off these brakes. No warning lights. Hell yeah, man. Oh, the seatbelt. Get on her a little bit. Beautiful. I'm gonna fill the tank. Just in case there's any water in the tank, I'm gonna fill it. Okay, I did the gas station. I made it home, no issues. This thing runs and drives perfect. I drove it several miles. I don't know, you'll have to check the odometer, but at least 3 or 4 miles. Let's see if it'll start back up. Beautiful. All right, folks, so I wanted to just show her off to you one last time before I end this video. It's going to be way too long. And part 2, again, I'm going to work on this little by little during the week. Just yank the whole interior out of it and deep clean it. Make sure there's no mold hiding anywhere. I mean, to me, this thing, if it had a clean title and it was obviously not moldy and stuff, would be a $7,000 SUV in this market. Low miles, brand new tires, no issues whatsoever. So I think this was a score. I'm into it for $588 and some oil and an air filter and, you know, a little bit of gas to go pick it up. Awesome buy. This is why I do what I do, guys. Okay, I love the gamble. You're not going to win them all. This goes to show you that flood cars, if you get them for the right price, that's the key. And a lot of these cars from Hurricane Ian have been selling for way too much money. Crazy money. Nonsense money. So I've bid on dozens of cars at this point, and obviously I've stopped bidding on all the other ones at a certain point. It's just crazy. You're almost paying retail for a car you couldn't even preview ahead of time. They don't let you go look at the cars at the Copart flood lots that were set up for Hurricane Ian. You're just going off what they're showing you. And remember, this was what they told me the water line was. Maybe on the inside, but we know at the outside water line was more like here. But here she is. Look at her. An absolute stunner. Now, look, I'm not going to pretend that it's not possible that down the road this vehicle could have electrical issues or even engine issues. Oh, by the way, if I didn't show you guys, the freaking power seats work. I knew those seat tracks didn't look that corroded to me. They don't look corroded at all. So that's great, and that's going to make it much easier for me to just yank these seats out, get the center console out, pull the carpet out, pop the door panels off, which really shouldn't be that big of a deal. And then I can make sure there's no mold and any salt that, you know, got all over these doors and things gets wiped off, and that way it won't start rusting down the road. There's no more smoke coming out of this thing whatsoever. So obviously I had to get all that moisture out of the exhaust. The seat tracks are way up here. Well, it's no wonder that they didn't get frozen, because I don't even think the water on the inside got that high.